but we have the historical, the great Coach Parker.
Allan Chaney is the best player in the history of Connecticut, 6'8" or taller, in terms of just pure skill set. All I ever wanted to do at New London, I felt as though I did this, accomplished this, hold young men accountable. Mm-hmm. It was tough coaching in New London because, I lost friends, and I used to tell them, don't worry about it. I said, because when I'm done, everyone's going to be chasing me. Everyone's going to be chasing Coach Parker.
Let's just keep it a buck, all right?
And we're back with another episode of Keep It a Buck podcast, episode 47. Episode 47. How we doing, good people?
Episode 47. We got a special one. We got two special guests here. One that was already here, and his episode is booming. Make sure you go check it out, CJ Parker. But we have the historical, the great Coach Parker. We got Coach Parker here today, and let me run through his accolades to start. He is one of the most history coaches, or probably the most history coach at New London High School. And he was my coach, won a state championship with him, been to 2 state championships with him. And let's run through his career. So he has over 500 wins, 4 state championships, which are in 3 different decades. So he's seen the evolution of basketball for himself while winning in those decades. He has 2 people that have played in the NBA, 1 current NBA player. He has a McDonald's All-American. He has a player that had a full scholarship to Florida in Allan Chaney, who would have been another NBA player for him. So that would have been 3. Exactly, brother of Cassius Chaney.
Oh, I didn't say that, but yeah.
But yeah, honestly, and I didn't even know you was gonna be here today.
All right, we're gonna start.
I had that prepped already, so I'm
nice
honestly happy he's here today.
He immature.
But he's a scholarship for Allen to Florida. Again, he was going to be another NBA player.
And Gatorade Player of the Year that year, too.
And he was Gatorade Player of the Year that year. So he coached. Was Kareem a Gatorade Player of the Year?
Oh, no, Kris Dunn was.
But Kris Dunn, yeah, I knew Kris was. But so Kris and Allen were both Gatorade Player of the Years. Next, he has 4 Division I basketball scholarships that I can just think of off the top of my head. Might be more. He has multiple undefeated seasons and even more undefeated regular season, which one is really special because it was with his son. So I think that is really cool. And including the 4 Division I basketball scholarships, he also has probably close to or maybe a little under 10 full scholarships in total for Division I if you want to include football, because he has athletes like Mike Morgan that had played both sports and earned Division I scholarships for football. Let's see what's next. And he has a player in Tayshawn Pemberton right now who just played in the Division II Elite Playoffs. So they are big. He plays for Assumption, and he's another one that was big. And he also coached Boo Boo his freshman year. Was it freshman and sophomore year?
Yeah, 2 years.
Yep, so freshman and sophomore year. So that's another top 5 player in the state that he's coached. His resume can go for days, honestly. And I'm not going to mention ECC championships because, as we all know and as he's always preached, we don't care about those. Those should be like an automatic for us, and we really don't care. We want the state championships, and that's why we don't hang ECC banners in New London High School and never have, especially around the time that he was winning.
And hopefully that will continue.
Yes, let's hope. Let's hope.
Not hanging them.
Let's hope. Honestly, there's no need for us to hang them. We win enough state championships to where we could just hang our big banners. All right. So we got our rundown for Coach Parker. We have introduced CJ before, but again, CJ is the head coach of Fitch High School for the girls basketball program for varsity, and he also runs an AAU program. He's a homeowner. He's part of Hearing Youth Voices. He does so much for the community, and all of it comes full circle to be able to benefit our community, but also be able to benefit his future as well. I'm Keeks. You can follow me at GSFK860. That's the Game Speed page. for Instagram. That's free training for the kids in the community. So make sure y'all follow.
It's your boy Coop. You can follow me at Coop_1988 on most platforms. What you want to say, man?
He's a clown, man. I'm Cassius. You can follow me on all the social media. And I just want to say, first off, thank you to Coach Parker.
Yes.
Thank you to CJ for, just what y'all have done for my brother, the love y'all shown to my family. So thank y'all for being here, for sure.
Big time, big time. New London is a family, and we always want to make sure that you guys are the worst. We always it's not always the people that's talking and always the people that's it's not always the people that's always put out there that's always doing the work. There's a lot of people behind the scenes that put in the work and usually don't get the recognition for it, but that's not what they do it for. These are two of those people. All right, let's get into questions for CJ, can you shout out your socials real quick? Got Slept On Sports, and then
Yup, yeah, on YouTube you can subscribe to Slept On Sports to stay in tune with some of the best players from the area. And then on social media you can follow at NLC Hoop Hustlers on Instagram. That's my AAU program.
Perfect. Great. So let's get into questions for Coach Parker. All right, this is going to be a great episode, y'all. This is going to be a very telling episode, but we're not going to do a whole bunch of debates. I'm telling you guys right now, you're not going to get a whole bunch of debates trying to get stupid answers out of Coach Parker for you guys to try to. No, we're getting actual knowledge from Coach Parker. So if that's what you're looking for, you can get up out of here. I ain't got no problem with it. All right. So first, Coach, you winning state championships in 3 different decades, right? You won in the 90s, you won in the 2000s, and you also won in the 2010s. How have you seen basketball change over the course of those 3 decades?
Well, going back to the 90s, let's see. Back 1995 was my first year. Was fortunate enough to win a state title. Those teams were somewhat different than the teams in the 2000s. We played at probably more of a methodical pace in the games, and I remember primarily in our state championship game that year against Trinity Catholic. That was a heavy favorite that year. It was a methodical game for us. The kids were very disciplined. They bought into our game plan, and they executed it very well. Fast forward to the 2005 and 6 state championship teams. Those teams were more athletic, more aggressive in terms of pressing, and running the floor with Kareem Brown and Lee Mitchell, Aaron Bryant, Dobby Brown. I mean, there were a lot of good players. Mike Morgan, Iron Mike. There were a lot of good players in that mix. And then, of course, when you played the following decade with Kris Dunn and Keith Porter, yourself. I mean, we had you guarding a 6'7" kid in the state championship game, right? Because that was a strategy, and it worked. And so and your team was just different. I mean, with Kris being the Kris Dunn just leading everything. I mean, Kris Dunn was just a one-man wrecking crew out there, and he's doing that at the professional level. I remember being interviewed about Kris in particular from when he was drafted by Minnesota. I got a call from a Minnesota newspaper, and I said to them, Kris Dunn has the ability to last, and he's done that. I mean, he's done that in a league where he's not even, he's not really a gifted offensive player, but he's found his niche, and and he's just an amazing story to last this long, with what he brings to the game. Just hard work, and like he says, he's a dog. Kris is a dog, and that's how he refers to himself. So Kris brought an entirely different dynamic, which he's still showing at the NBA level, the professional level. And, so there's definitely been a change in the game over the years, no question.
I definitely agree with the Kris thing. the way he plays for the Clippers, and he's just so effective to the team, and he makes everybody play the way he does. Everybody's talking about the Clippers defense and stuff. That's Kris. Our team, was built around Kris and how he played. Even he was aggressive. We were all aggressive. He was in the weight room. We were all in the weight room because it couldn't just be like, all right, we got this person who's an All-American and everybody else is just can't compliment him. And it's just you have to be able to help as much as you can.
I'll tell you a Kris Dunn story if I can.
Of course.
New London Rec League, CJ's first year in the league, he was 9. I think the game was being played at Benny Dover. So I was standing, and Kris Dunn's team, I didn't know Kris at all. His team happened to be out there playing. And I'm watching this kid play, and I said to somebody, who is that kid? They said, his name is Kris Dunn. I said, how old is he? They said, he's 11. And I could tell right there that he was special. I mean, I saw a lot of I coached in that league. I saw great players come through that league. But Kris was just different. He was just special. And I remember saying to somebody there, I said, that kid's a phenom. And it's hard for me to imagine that there are a lot of 11-year-olds in this entire country better than that kid. Because he was just different. Just the way he moved and just everything about him. He was just different, even as an 11-year-old, my first exposure to him.
And this isn't just in basketball. When I say he played for Montville before he came to New London, and I say he walked on us on the football field, literally running side to side. They had Coach Leo calling him Barry Sanders on our own field at Mercer Field. So, it wasn't just basketball, bro. Like, Kris really was overall just a great athlete and ahead of his time and just ahead of our grade level, honestly.
Well, he was the type of kid that could have been an all-state soccer player, baseball player.
Whatever he
chose to do. He just would have been all-state. All-state track, whatever. He's just gifted. He's just gifted.
No, definitely. I'm telling you, if you like him, people like Jordan Reed is another one. Just overall gifted in different sports. Like I said before, Jordan Reed could 360 and then 360 dunk and never play for Coach Parker. And it's kind of funny. And honestly, Jordan playing, that was Kris's freshman year. They won a state championship in football. If Jordan would have played basketball, I feel like you guys easily would have won a state championship that year. There's nobody like guarding Jordan. And then also you have Kris who went all state as a freshman. I feel like that's a great dynamic.
Yeah, and just to follow up on your comments about Allan Chaney would have been a professional basketball player. I will tell anyone out here listening, just Google Allan Chaney, his 9 or 10 minute highlight video at High Point in North Carolina. Just watch that, and you're seeing an NBA player, at 6'9", and I will say to this day, Allan Chaney is the best player in the history of Connecticut, 6'8" or taller, in terms of just pure skill set, dribbling, passing, shooting the ball. There's no doubt in my mind about that. I'm talking players specifically over 6'8". He's the best ever in this state. And I've told Allan that there's no question about that.
It's hard to argue Gatorade Player of the Year in a scholarship to Florida.
Off their back-to-back.
Yeah, off the back-to-back, which is crazy.
Come on now. So it wasn't like Florida was like a team trying to like get back. Like, no, they were a great program. Yeah. So that what you're saying makes a lot of sense. All right, let's get to the next question. You guys got anything? We good?
I have one question. What was your vision when you first started your program? It was like, what, 29 years ago, right?
1995. I can tell you. My first year, Jim O'Neill, who was just a really great athletic director, really supportive of his coaches, had a way with words, just a very intelligent person. He hired me as the coach at New London. I had been there for 7 years under Coach Ruggiero as an assistant coach. And I'm honest when I say this. I said my first deal was I said, okay, I'm going to do this for 1 year, be a head coach, just to see if I could do it, and just to say I did it. And that was my outlook. And I did it for 1 year, and 1 year just led into another. We won a state title my first year, and it led to 29 years as a head coach and 7 years as an assistant coach. And it wasn't the type of ending that I really wanted, but you know what? The career was great. I have no regrets. It was a great career.
My bad, but I get to say that obviously I never had the opportunity to play for you outside of everybody saying, "Yo, you should go to London," right? When I was in high school, but being you being one of the greatest coaches in Connecticut, obviously, there's not too many people that get 500 wins, right? 500. Me hearing what you just said and saying, I said I'll coach, right? But for you to do it that long and to maintain that long, for me, I'm like, yo, I don't know.
You say that
because
now.
it is super like it's a long, especially if you're going deep into the playoff. It's long, especially if you don't win it. It's even longer. The time, you know what I'm saying? It's like, man, I could be doing, I could be chilling. It's little stuff like that.
Oh, there's a lot
Especially,
you have to sacrifice.
You got 2 sons, 2 daughters. You know what I'm saying? I know it's time that you were missing, and you going to practice, and it just went from you just trying it out for 1 year to being 19 years. That's
29.
That's what I
30,
mean. A lot of people
36, 37 years.
Yeah, people in the stands not really factoring that in. It's almost not just your love for it, but you're kind of volunteering your time and family time to show greatness and show love to kids that want to be in a program. You know what I mean? Like, so I gotta give props to you. 19 years, that's a long time.
29, yeah, definitely. Yeah. But yeah, that's also why.
29 years. That's even.
But that's
7 years.
I was about to say worse. That's even
36 years.
That's even longer.
But that's also why I've always
40
wanted
years,
to
man.
commend you on making sure you had a standard, because not everybody, there are people that didn't like the fact that you had a standard and you didn't bend for your standards, and you need to come into the season ready to play. You're not trying to develop players during the season. That's what your off season was for. You should have taken advantage of it, and you should be ready to play by now. And that's a standard, and that's a standard that's like pushed away a little bit now, and that's what I think was like the toughest part about like the end of your career. I feel like people wanted you to bend and like be in change, like development, or change the way your program was when I just don't think it was necessary.
Well, the thing is this, all I ever wanted to do at New London, I felt as though I did this, accomplished this, hold young men accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Hold young men accountable. We made that clear, and you play with really great players, and I didn't deviate from that, from the last guy to the top guy, whether it was Kris or the last guy on the bench. When we walked into a gym, we had travel. Listen, we set standards at New London. As far as I know, not unless it was some country town up in the northwest corners of Connecticut, we were the first team to have travel uniforms in the state of Connecticut. The first, boys basketball, first boys basketball team. First team when we started wearing the T-shirt style. Mm-hmm. We were the first team to do that, to my knowledge, which a lot of teams, do now. Our first team, we put the whalers on the back of the butt on one of our uniforms. Mm-hmm. We're the first team to do that. So, and a lot of teams followed after that. We set the standard for that. And with our travel uniform, that was a big thing for me. We walk into a school, our shirts are tucked in. The JV players, don't let me catch you with your shirt hanging out during a varsity game from your travel uniform. We have the travel uniforms for a reason. We want to look like a team, and we want to look right. We allowed kids to wear headphones on the bus and listen to music, but once we walked into the door of the school, the headphones came off. Mm-hmm. The headphones came off. I just always wanted to try to do the right thing at New London. Always played by the rules, never recruited a kid, No kid or parent can ever say, Coach Parker recruited my son or my son. You know, I didn't do that. I didn't do that from my very first season to my last season. I had parents come up to me. They were talking. I just play it off. I wouldn't go to barber shops. I wouldn't hang out in too many bars because I didn't want to hear stuff. You know, like you're saying, my standards, and I just didn't want to hear stuff. And you know, and I ran my program from the start to the end, no doubt in my mind, the right way, man. You know, that's it's simple.
I feel like that is big because we always have a microscope on our community and the black men or just the minority men in our community, right? So you having this program and having such a program with so much talent in it, but also the talent that had to be like, it needed to be brought together and it need to be like chilled down so that people can be able to be successful. It was a great time. It was definitely a great time for basketball, and honestly, I just don't have, like, I don't know. I just want to say thank you. I just want to say thank you because the standard of the program, it was always top notch. And you know, going into the program, well, I know Coach Parker's tough, and I need to make sure that I do what I got to do. Story for one of my senior year, we had 2 players get suspended during ECC playoffs. We had 2 players get suspended. Doug gets suspended for something it's stupid, so I'll say it was like a food fight or something that happened in the school. He gets suspended off the team for a game or so, and then had to sit out another half. And then Malcolm was suspended for another reason for the ECCs, and it was always had to be next man up. But that was the standard, though. If you just let people get away with those little things, then there would be no standard. But that also, again, like I said, it helps the next man up mentality for everybody else to be able to always be ready to play.
No question. You know, if it caused, you know, to put the hammer down on the kid, so to speak, regardless of the game or the situation, that's what was going to happen. I mean, Kareem Brown, that was a great player at New London, who was my assistant coach at New London, and you know, I don't want to start any controversy, but by the way, he should be the head coach now, but that's another story. But you know, I had to suspend Kareem for a game, you know, for some back talk. You know, but Kareem learned from that. He appreciated that. You know, he didn't take it adversely. You know, he learned from that. You know, he learned from that incident. You know, he'll tell you that to this day.
Same here. Yeah. Same here. My junior year, I having a hell of a season, having a hell of an off season when it comes to football. So I go to passing league one day instead of going to Sunday practice because Sunday practice isn't supposed to be mandatory. So I just go to passing league instead, but I lied about it, right? Didn't have to lie about it. Sunday practice is mandatory. I could have just been honest about it. Lied about it, went to passing league. Coach Larson sees Coach Parker the next day or so. Is just like, yeah, Khalid had a hell of a day at passing league. and Coach Parker's like, oh, I thought he was at church. And it was like, yeah. So I got taken out of the starting lineup, and it like Coach told me, and there was no back talk or nothing. It was just like, yeah, you're right. Like there was no problem with the situation, but also that's how it was when we played, though. It wasn't you had something to say to what your coach. There was no back talk. There was like obviously like somebody had something to say, yes, but there wasn't usually like you were the final say. No parent was the final say. No kid was the final say. Coach Parker and Coach Parker. No assistant coach was the final say. Coach Parker and Coach Parker only was the final say. So yeah, got taken out of starting lineup. Still got like a good amount of minutes, but that whole season. Again, you need to make sure you prove these points. That whole season, I won a starting position that year. I didn't start the first game of the season, won a starting position, started half the season, did that, and then I did not start the rest of the season. I got a lot of minutes, and I probably played more than the person who was starting above me, but it was known to that thing. I did not start the rest of the season. That state championship game that everybody talks about me starting guarding Karan Iverson, yes, I played a lot, and I finished the game out, but I did not start that game. I did not.
You didn't start?
No. Yeah, no.
The strategy was for you to guard him.
Yes, once he started doing well. I think Keith got like an extra foul on him early, and you guys didn't want Keith to go out. So I was either gonna come in for Special early, but I ended up coming in for Keith early and guarding him.
Speaking, I try to keep track of the history of New London, and some of the things that are going on up there now. It's not going to be recorded. Like this thing has, and I try to keep it updated. This has New London basketball history, like all the prominent teams and things of that nature, championship teams with their rosters. And I have a history, the longest winning streak at New London and things of that nature. Like the state final MVPs from New London, the all-state players. And what I mean by the all-state players, just specifically first team, not second team or third team. The all-area players over the years. And I have records as a player. 4 years unless noted. You're in here, Khalid.
Oh, wow.
Like your winning percentage at New London was, just phenomenal. 99-7. 99 wins, 7 losses in your 4 years. And I have different players listed, right down the line, like Lee Mitchell, for example, 77-21. My son's teams were 83-17, which included a year, I believe, with you guys.
Yes, it did.
I have the Wheeler 50-point club. The 1,000-point. Now the 1,000-point thing is like, it's sort of getting to me because 1,000 points should be the 1,000 points in a New London uniform.
And that makes sense.
They're starting up there now. This new regime, listing these kids as 1,000-point scorers, and they're not getting all their points in their New London uniform. Like Tom Publique, for example, played at St. Bernard's his freshman year. His points are not included, as St. Bernard's points. So it's like, I'm like this. Do you think St. Bernard's, now you could ask St. Bernard's, Dev Williams, he went over 1,000 points in his 2 years at New London. Do you think St. Bernard's is going to include him in their 1,000-point scorers? I don't think so. And he played here his freshman year. So why are we doing that at New London? St. Bernard's isn't going to honor him as a 1,000-point scorer. He only scored like 300-some points at St. Bernard's. So that's my point. If a kid transfers in a football player and he has 850 yards when he comes in that year, and he goes over 1,000 at New London, in 2 games. He's a 1,000-yard rusher at New London. This is what I don't understand what you're doing now. Now, Dev, I love Dev Williams, but now Dev, I understand he has a plaque in the school, and it has his St. Bernard's points included on that plaque. Now, I say to Mr. Orby, if you're going to do that, put his points at New London, and then put other and put other instead of including it like they were all scored at New London. And then, if you want to honor that, that's fine. But differentiate, because we have kids in there, like say his brother, his plaque, with like 1,300-some points, which were all scored at New London. Now it looks like people read Des Williams' thing. It looks like he outscored Allan Chaney at New London, if you follow what I'm saying. Yeah, so I would say you should differentiate if you want to honor a kid and give them a plaque and put it in a trophy case, but put the New London points and just use the word other, like a different school. This is what I say. Because like Dev Williams in here, for example, Dev Williams just has his points in here. That's his 2 years he scored at New London. He's not going to have the 1,400. We now have 14,000-point scorers at New London because, as you know, Boo Boo and Savon both went over 1,000 points this year. And Dev was fortunate enough to do it in 2 years.
That's tough.
I could only imagine Dev Williams on that team this year. Manchester wouldn't have known what hit him. They wouldn't have known what hit him if Dev was out there. Manchester, the way that game was played and the way Dev plays downhill.
Fast,
Oh, you
Fast
kidding me?
pace.
Oh, they wouldn't know what hit him if Dev Williams was in that game. I mean,
I completely.
they'd be putting a banner up.
It'd be another one.
Oh my
Nah, I
goodness.
could.
But
That's
anyway,
talent.
so I mean, this thing is pretty comprehensive. It also has in here,
Good.
I have all the. I mean, it took me hours and hours years ago to research this stuff. All the coaching records at New London, each individual coach. I have a special thing for the 500 win coaches, and I have a year by year record of every team in New London's history, year by year, all the way starting in 1950, 51 with the asterisk, because that was where did I have the asterisk there? But but I have all the year by year records right through. So
That's cool.
so I try to keep it updated, things like that. But
Yeah, Coach Parry got the New London history for everybody. If you need to know,
He not playing.
that's all.
He not playing. Let's just say what it is. He not
I
playing.
respect
and I
it.
want to keep the records real. Things need,
respect it.
if you get it at New London, your 1,000 points. It's like this kid JJ. He's going to go over 1,000, right, or run over 1,000. But you know what? Most of them points right now were scored at Fitch, I presume. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
he had 2 All-State seasons at Fitch, so he definitely had a good amount of those points there. So for me, I think that they should, if they're gonna add it again. I like the other thing, just to like point out that these guys were in New London jerseys scoring these points, and they were here, and yeah, just to highlight that. But also, I think they need to go back and edit the scores for people like Tom Pobleet. If his St. Bernard's year isn't added in there, then it needs to go back and be added if everybody else is being added too. That just hurts his
But that's not the right thing to do. That should go under the other.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying.
I agree with what Coach Parker is saying. I also heard that they were saying that one is for career, high school career, and the other is supposed to be.
For
But
New
I never
London?
seen the plaque, so I don't know.
There's
a difference in plaque?
I just
Yeah,
heard
but
it has 1,400 and something.
Yeah,
on
right.
it.
So
That's all I've heard. I've never seen
You know
the
what I
plaque.
mean? So I agree that it should. If you got it in your career, but and a New London uniform or whatever school you're at, that should be just that number. You know what I'm saying?
no
For
question.
for everybody across the board, because like you were saying, if you went there back in the day, and you got history, and then you're letting people pass your history just from whatever. Somebody a good player go to Grosso Tech and get average 40, and then come to London, it's like, you get what I'm saying? So.
Yeah. Excuse it all.
The competition.
Plus, it's
New
London. It's New London history. New London high
Whaler,
school history.
exactly.
Whaler
It's in the
history.
New London uniform.
So I
History
understand
is
that.
different,
I agree.
And I think that's a good point, Cash. Like getting 1,000 at New London is different.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the same as getting 1,000 at most other schools around here.
That's what I'm saying.
If you're
you know.
bringing in points, like you said, from a school where you might not have been averaging 25 a game, 15 a game at New London, but you average 30 somewhere else. Like that does say a lot.
Like this thing for the 1,000 push at New London, this will I also say, how many years they did it in. Like, for example, his brother Allen, he scored 1,396 in 3 years. But here's what you have to keep in mind.
He ain't scored no
Here's what you have to keep in
1,300
mind.
in no 3
When
years.
Chris
He was
played, Chris scored
He was in
2,000.
Chris scored 2,000.
201 points. Now, how much time did Chris spend on the bench? Because you guys were really
Sheesh.
good and you were blowing teams out. Same thing with someone like Allan Chaney. He spent a lot of time on the bench because his teams were blowing teams out, and I didn't run it up on scores. I've always felt this way. You don't embarrass kids. I don't care if you have a beef with the coach or whatever. You don't embarrass kids, man. In other words, like you don't. I had a principal one time say to me, and I won't say who and when. I had a principal say to me he had an issue with a particular school over something that had happened with something, and he came up to me for the game, and I don't even think this team wanted to play us, but they came down, and he said to me, Coach, I don't care what you do to this team today. There won't be any repercussions. you can score as many points as you want. Well, guess what? That team was so bad and we were so good. We did score like probably well over 100 points, but that's with sitting starters down, playing the zone in the second half, no pressing. That team was that bad. We could have literally scored probably 200 points on that team. But I was like this. My son knows this. I said, you don't embarrass kids, man. Their parents are there. Their little brothers and sisters are there. Their girlfriends might be there. And you don't intentionally embarrass 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids by running up the score, pressing when you're up by 40 points and doing things of that. You guys know that.
Yeah,
we
no.
never did those things.
Straight up.
We never did those things.
We
you know?
rarely went over 100 points.
Yeah,
I
and
feel
how
like
many
we
times could have you?
Yeah, we could have went over. We could have went over 100 points a lot, but Coach Parker always had the thing. He really believes this. If we were even close to 100 points, he's like, "Yo, chill out, hold the ball. This is what we gonna do." But trying to embarrass another team, and I've carried this into my coaching today. Trying to embarrass another team or kids and their families is unnecessary. So I completely agree, and we've carried that into our forms of coaching for today too. So, thank you, Coach. We really appreciate that.
Still ain't been out.
All right, we've been on these. We got one more question for you, and then we'll go into NBA.
Need oil and water. Which one you need more?
All right. So, what did you see from your athletes in the off season in years that you won state championships? So, off seasons before the state championships were won.
I want to make sure I fully understand the question. I don't understand the question.
So, like, how were there any type of like work? Was there like a minimum work ethic? Like, what type of work did you see from your athletes in the off season before you won state championships?
Well, I'm gonna be honest. Nothing in particular. It was sort of against the rules back then to do a lot with your players during the off season. But I can say this: I do know my players for the most part would come back in shape, relatively in shape and ready to play. There wasn't anything in particular like directed to you guys specifically from me that I recall with any of my teams over the years. Now I think that's the CIAC changed the rule. You can work with your kids now in the summer. Yep. If I'm not mistaken, and things of that nature. Yeah. But
So-
no, I never put any pressure on the kids. I know the kids that were basically, we would meet at the end of the season, and we would go over some things, maybe some things you have to work on, especially kids that were cut. I would tell them if they wanted to make the team, if they weren't a senior, what I felt as though they needed to work on specifically, to have a better opportunity to make the team the following year. But that was basically about the extent of it, from what I recall.
And honestly, I think that part of it is big because people need to come back. Just like you said, people came back in shape. Some people came back better with new tools to their game that they didn't have before. But it wasn't coach instructed. You didn't need to say to your kids, you need to work on this, or being on your kids all summer for them to be able to come back in shape. Like, you didn't, like, again, just like you said, you didn't have to instruct anybody. So you had state championship teams come back to you prepared and ready to go without having regiments, without having all these different things that are coming from coaches. I just want to attest to that.
Yeah, I think something that kind of goes to the question you're asking, like with Kareem made the team as a freshman, and like he always told me, he told Kareem, like, develop a pull-up jumper. Kareem went on to win back-to-back state championships, and if you watch the film, his pull-up jumper was immaculate. So, like, I think, like you said, he didn't need Coach Parker to go to the park with him. Like, Kareem knew, all right, Coach told me this, now it's on me to make that happen.
Yeah, because Kareem had a tendency to put his head down and try to bull his way to the basket. I said, Kareem, you got to learn how to stop and pop. Stop and pop. And he came back. He worked that whole summer. He came back with the stop and pop. I mean, and he was essentially unstoppable.
And I think
in
that's
doing that.
I think that's huge because it's not you telling a kid something and then them going to just do whatever the hell they want. It's no. And this is like a maturity thing from Kareem at a young age. It's I'm your coach. I'm the person who's going to be giving you your playing time next year. So I'm the person you probably want to listen to. Not everybody else on the outside that's telling you to go against what I'm saying or telling you this person doesn't know anything just because like they might have had like a bad experience. Just go do what your coach says.
I survived along those lines. I survived from my very first year all the way through my 29th year. I survived in this town, my hometown, a little town, who, by the way, it was tough coaching in New London because, I lost friends because of their sons. Coming through playing and maybe not to their liking. I mean, I lost friends over that. This small town. I grew up here. And stuff like that. But I survived 29 years in this town of people, a certain group of people who I call the New London Yo-Yos. Okay, that's what I refer to them as, the New London Yo-Yos. A certain group of people. A certain group of guys that basically just badmouth me to players, to parents and everyone for 29 years. For 29 years, I knew the stories. I heard the story. I mean, I survived that in this town. I won 75% of my games. 75% of my games. I mean, I survived all that. I never confronted any of them about it. But some of my former players, they would hear it from them. And I said, hey, man, don't get in any fights. And I used to tell them, don't worry about it. I said, because when I'm done, everyone's going to be chasing me. Everyone's going to be chasing Coach Parker. What I established here, what you guys helped me do here, they're going to be chasing us and they're going to be chasing me. So let them talk. Let them talk. I'm the standard bearer for coaches in this area.
That's a bar right there. I'm sorry to interrupt.
It's just I'm the standard bearer, And you know what? They're chasing me, man. From the great players I had to the accomplishment, individual awards from my players. I mean, like Allan Chaney, Gatorade, Kris Dunn, McDonald's All-American. I mean, match it. That's all I say. I tell my players, just tell them match it, man. Because that stuff doesn't lie. That stuff doesn't lie, man.
So let me ask this, Coach. Obviously, the resume speaks for itself. So you're a Hall of Famer, right? You're going to be in the Hall of Fame. What is the criteria for players to get in the Hall of Fame?
To be a great player? Yeah,
no, to get in the Hall of Fame in the school. Because I'm speaking, honestly, I'm speaking, I know he don't know, but I'm speaking for my brother. Right. When I look at the wall and I'm like, dang, he was Gatorade Player of the Year. Why he not up there? So I just want to know what the crowd.
Well, there's no Hall of Fame at New London.
Oh, okay.
There's a football Hall of Fame.
There's a football Hall of Fame.
But on the wall, they got Tyson. They got
locker room.
Pagan. No, on the wall in the gym.
Oh,
that's
for people who made professional sport.
Got you.
For the most part, but they did put the Pagan girl up there.
Right. So why don't they have a Hall of Fame for high school?
I don't know. I used to have a City of New London Hall of Fame with Mike Pacetto, but that died out some years ago, in particular when he moved to Waterford. We had a City of New London Hall of Fame, not specifically a New London Hall of Fame, meaning you could have been a New London person that went to St. Bernard's and did well or something like that, whatever, and you could get in the New London Hall of Fame because it was a City of New London Hall of Fame, not a specific New London High School Hall of Fame.
But the high school being as prestige as it is, there should be a Hall of Fame for.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's a prestige high school, even if some people don't feel like they didn't play or whatever, it still should be the greats that went to the high school getting recognized and all.
Yeah, New London could certainly have a Hall of Fame
for
all sports.
Yeah, for all sports. Yeah,
So I got one more last question before we get to some NBA talks, some playoff talk. This one for CJ. So you grew up in the household of greatness, and now you're a head coach yourself. Now, first year, right, as a head coach. What you experienced in the household molded you into the coach you want to be right now?
Ass whoopings.
Nah, it's funny because when I was growing up, people could be like, just seeing my dad's coaching style, they'd be like, some of my friends be like, I don't want to go to your house. Like, I'm scared of Coach Parker. Some people be like, I know he be whooping your ass. Like, because I'll say this, the standards were high in the household. He wasn't whooping my ass, but the standards were high. And
As it should be.
yeah, and like, it's just, but it was not just like, oh, he tells me this, he tells me that, and I just retain it. As I watch him live it.
Lead by example.
Yeah, lead by example 100%. I mean, like if you were at New London, you would have seen even back then, I went to basically every practice for years before I got to high school. I watched the great players come through, watch their work ethic, watch how they interacted, and watch that standard being set, the attention to detail in every practice, the discipline. And then I experienced it for myself. I got to be a part of it as a volunteer after I graduated. And I also saw like the flexibility. And like the Coach Parker I played for is different than the Coach Parker Kareem played for, different than the Coach Parker Boo Boo played for. Because like you say, like time changed. Athletes are different nowadays. They're different in my time. And I'm sure in the I hear stories about the 90s, and I'm like, that's a different Coach Parker than I even saw with Kareem. It's hard to imagine that. So I think it was just seeing the standard set, seeing the consistency, and really never kind of straying away from that. And also standing firm. My own cousin, you might have played with Quan Khalid.
That was my, yep.
And Quan was a good player.
Quan was in our grade.
That's my dad's nephew. And he was taken out to school over playing on a great team.
On a state championship team, trust me. And
Quan.
Jaquan Morton.
He played like 2 years at New London.
Yo, I had my own brother, his grandfather, I will say this, not speak to me for essentially 2 years because of the way I handled my nephew, but that was his, could you turn this off? that was his grandson.
You had to,
my own brother. So all these other people out here, I had my own brother not speak to me for 2 years over playing time. You think I'm worried about you? Come on. Please, man.
Yeah,
that's a fact,
that's the standard.
You can see the program.
That's a fact.
I can see that. I respect that. I respect the program.
Again, a lot of people don't, especially these days, people want you to just bend and fix for what they want to see fit. And it's just like, you need to meet a standard. You need to meet the standard that comes in. And you're one of the only coaches that played freshmen. One of the only coaches that would give freshmen a starting spot and say, hey, if you think you can do this and they're not stepping up, here, take it. Take it.
I was always a firm believer. If I thought a kid was ready to play as a freshman, put him out there. Put him out. Kris Dunn was an all-state as a freshman. A legit all-state, I will say, as a freshman.
And that's it. And that's a coaching decision that he had to make. Kris did not start out the season starting. He didn't. He had to make a coaching decision, honestly, because some people was bullshit in practice. Upperclassmen thought they was it, and they was bullshit in practice one day. Kris ain't never get that spot back after that. Had an all-state season. You see where he's at now. Yo, honestly, you probably would have took the spot no matter what.
NBA player. They lost the spot to an NBA player. I'd be happy to say that to my kids a little bit. Well, I wouldn't be happy. I ain't gonna lie. I'd be like, dang.
I tell you a referee.
Felt like I was better than them.
I tell you a referee story. Look where they're at now. Before your time, there used to be a big summer tournament in New London called Don't Foul Out. You guys might have heard stories about it.
I heard about it.
Well, I was coaching the team down there watching. I'm going back early '90s, late '80s. There was a kid out there reffing, young white kid out there reffing down in and it was crazy. A lot of people down there, it's a schoolyard in the park. It get a little crazy out there, and I'm just watching him referee the games. He had to be I don't think he was 25, 21, 20, 22 years old, but I'm just watching his composure in the way he handled himself with all this chaos around him. I sent the thing to the people might not remember these things. Typewriter, right? I typed up a letter and I sent it to the head of the local officiating board, and I said it was my pleasure to watch this young, and I found out the guy's name, to watch this young referee down there. I think he's going to have a great future, blah, 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 on your board. Guess what? You know where this guy's at now? Number 58 in NBA games. Referee number 58, Josh Tiven, made it all the way to the NBA. And I saw that in that kid in his early 20s, where he, like Kris Dunn was special player, he was a special ref. Kid's in the NBA.
Yeah, you're a good guy, man.
You know Josh? Josh
he's cool.
would be,
He's real cool.
And he's one of the top guys.
Yeah.
He'll be in the finals, I guarantee you. He wears number 58.
Yeah, he pop in and out of New London. He cool, man.
Yeah,
Man, cool.
yeah, Josh.
Okay, cool.
We gotta see if we can get him on. Actually.
Yo, that'd be
Yeah,
that'd be
yeah.
I'm gonna ask him.
You know him. That's
I'm
fine.
gonna ask
Yeah.
him.
All right. Thank you, Coach Parker. Thank you, CJ. We're still going to keep you guys on, but I just wanted to say thank you for the first half of the portion. That was honestly big for us. It was really appreciated. And we're going to make sure this gets out. I'm happy that you came and you held nothing back. That's honestly what I wanted. I wanted you to hold nothing back, and I'm happy that you came on. Let's
Thanks
get
for
it.
having me.
Nah, no problem, Coach. And if you want to come back on again, you just let me know. You come back on whenever you want. You and CJ.
Definitely.
Honestly. Let's get into some NBA for the day. We'll go straight into a little bit what we talked about earlier. Chris, Pat Bev went on his podcast and pretty much played something back of Kawhi Leonard having a conversation with him and comparing Kris Dunn to Patrick Beverley. Kawhi was telling Patrick Beverley that Kris Dunn plays like him, and like he hasn't seen anybody to where people really don't want to go up against him since Pat Beverley. So how do we feel about this? I think it's one of the coolest things in the world to have somebody that I went to high school with, one of my friends that I still talk to this day, every so often, being talked about by all these prestigious people and people that really like know the game of basketball, especially after a lot of people have been trying to say that he's not it when it comes to being an NBA player, and he's found his way and he's on a championship caliber team right now.
You know what?
That's questionable.
Yeah,
Those,
right.
those people can say all they want. Chris laughing all the way to the bank. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Beside that, Big Perk gave him some love the other day. Big Perk on his show. I was like, okay, talking about Chris and his defense.
Nah, that's a
Yeah,
good
I think it's a good comparison. I just think that Chris is a different type of defender than Pat Beverley. I think Pat is more physical,
Disruptive.
but no, I think Chris is disruptive, but he's fast. Like
Lengthy.
he's quick. When Chris was like I might have been like a sophomore, junior in college, and Chris was working out at G's, and he might have been 8th grade, 7th grade, and his dad was like, "Hey, play 1-on-1 for a little bit. Just let him guard you." And I'm sitting here like he's hitting the ball, and I'm like laughing because he's small, but he had long arms. He was quick, and I'm like, yo, this kid really quick. Like he really can get his hands. Like if you play with the ball, he can get in there. And I think his defensive energy and skill is different from Pat's. Like Chris can play you full court, and if you mess around, he's gonna take it and dunk it. Like he gonna get it and dunk it. Pat can do it too, but it's more physical. Like he's a physical guard.
And I'm going to tell you why I think Chris is, or why I like Chris for this team like a little bit better than probably a Pat Bev would have been, even though they're trying to compare him. Chris is a natural facilitator. Pat Bev was scoring 40, 50 points in high school and stuff. Chris is a natural facilitator who wants to find the best shot for his team, right? So shout out Ty Lue, because he's throwing Chris in the middle right now while they're trying to trap James Harden and Kawhi. Every time they're trying to trap them to get the ball out their hands, they're putting Chris in the middle now. You got a facilitator in the middle. Thank you for just taking him off the freaking three-point line to just sit there and spot up shoot. You're playing into his strengths. You put him in the middle to where now he's playing everybody at a disadvantage. He's coming downhill. He's good at shooting that mid-range like floater jump shot. He can shoot that at a high percentage. So he's coming down and he's making great decisions with the ball. Making great decisions with the ball. You come down, you think he's going to shoot that floater. Nope, he's getting it right back out to James Harden after you guys just left him after double-teaming him. So I just think that he's in a great position, and it's just like I like him better than Pat Bev in this situation. I think he has a better offensive game than Pat Bev, and maybe not scoring wise. Pat Bev might be a better like spot up shooter, but I think Kris is a better facilitator. Like I said, he is the person that gets you the ball exactly where you want it.
I think Kris is more explosive, and he's better off the pick and rolls, in my opinion.
Oh, definitely.
But I think Pat might be a better shooter, but I think Kris he's better for this team, especially.
Yes.
For this type of team, how they're fast, and he got a different energy with the game. You know what I mean? He can run.
Kris is cat quick, man.
Yeah,
And who's that? Curry found that out when they played him in that game. When Kris stripped him, just like and gone. The only other player I coached similar to that, like cat quick, was Rajay Davis, who made a professional baseball. Rajay Davis was like hand-eye, man. You talking about cat quick with his hands? Oh my goodness. Rajay was he was another one. Cat quick.
It's another professional athlete that he's coached. Just saying. So again, we have all these things for Kris, and it's good to finally see him getting the recognition that he deserves. And he's third in the league in steals, but he wasn't able to be up for a Defensive Player of the Year because he didn't play enough minutes. I feel like that speaks even more volume. I feel like that speaks even more volumes to what he's doing. He's not playing the minimum amount of minutes to be able to get an award, but he's third in the league in steals.
Can he be on an all-defensive team?
I think
Just
he
not-
can. I think
I hope.
he should be able to.
I hope.
'Cause he played
There's
the whole-
three
I mean,
teams.
Yeah.
He's played the whole year, though, right?
He's played the whole year.
Yeah, 78
So he
games
played
or
in a
something
certain amount
like
of
that.
games. I think you got played in a
Right,
certain
right,
amount of games.
right.
And I'm sure he haven't been hurt this year, right?
I think he
No.
might have got hurt
Early-
once
early.
earlier
Not for
this year.
not for any extended period.
Yeah, no, nothing
so
long,
I think you
nothing
got to
long.
be in a
He
certain
played
amount of
enough
games
games.
to make your team. So he should
be
make
on
a
one of
team.
those- one of
Yeah, I'm
those.
hoping.
So let me ask the coach here. Coach, do you see any possibility of the Clippers making it to the Western Conference Finals?
I certainly hope so. The Clippers are a good team. Their center he's good enough. He's good enough, their center.
Zubac.
I tried to tell them about Zubac, but they ain't listening.
No,
when I was talking about
he-
Zubac
he-
last
he-
year.
he's
Lakers
good
should
enough.
have
I did
kept
say
Zubac, though.
I did
Lakers
say
should have kept
Zubac. Did I not last year?
You gonna get rid
I
of
said
JaVale and
Zubac.
all them? You should
I
have
didn't
kept
say
Zubac.
Zubac.
You did, but
Stop
not.
lying,
I
bro.
didn't
Don't
like him.
come on here
I didn't like
lying.
him
I did
for
say
the-
Zubac last year.
That's
lying.
fine, but I didn't like him for the Lakers.
He didn't say that though.
I
He
like
lying.
Jackson Hayes
So
for
he
them.
lying.
And again, you said that Zubac for
Was
that
it
team
the
last year.
Clippers? Yeah.
Zubac for the
Zubac.
team.
I like him as a big.
I like him as a big for the
ZUBAC.
Yeah, oh my God.
ZUBAC. That's not how you spell
That's
it.
it. That's how you spell
exactly how you
it.
spell
Hey,
it.
yo, stop talking
That's
to
not how you spell it.
Stop talking to me, man.
No, but to answer
I
your
is
question,
silent.
I think they can,
ZUBIC.
especially if what's his name, Kyrie Leonard, if he stays
Kawhi,
healthy,
yep.
Kawhi Leonard and
That's my only
and
thing.
Harden. I mean, they have scorers, and they work hard on defense.
Yes, they definitely
They
do.
work hard on D, man.
It's,
you know?
it's
They got a
decided
good
if you want to be in
coach.
street clothes or not, though.
Yeah.
Come on.
No, yeah, yeah.
Oh, you better leave Kawhi alone.
Yeah, I'm just saying, man. You don't know what that guy going
you
to do the
better
next
leave
game.
Kawhi alone.
You don't know what he's going to do the next game.
Have you ever seen him say anything on the court? My man's scary. He don't say anything.
Zubac.
just-
I mean,
No, it's Kawhi.
Kawhi.
Does he talk? I mean,
He just look at you. You
might
know
be
what
a
he's thinking
robot.
when he look at you. Right?
You can read men's minds?
Read yours.
Yo, that's.
Nah, that was crazy.
Yo.
So you guys are
Stop
crazy.
talking to me, man.
All right, y'all. We have a comment from Jimmy Butler. Him saying that Steph Curry is Superman. Or no, he's Batman and Jimmy Butler is Robin. And this is like the first time he's been able to be in that position. Do we think the Warriors have a chance to make it to the championship this year?
It's not his first time, but
Yeah,
yeah.
it's not his first time.
He had
I mean,
D Rose. A prime
I
D
mean,
Rose.
Yes, he did have a prime
He
D Rose,
had a
but
prime D
was he
Rose.
really
Yeah, but
like?
Jimmy
I
was
think
a
he
Robin.
said he was just
Thank
starting.
you. That's what I was.
Yeah,
But,
okay.
but
All
in
right.
That's
Philly,
what I was gonna say.
in Philly, they had a team.
Yeah,
bro.
okay,
They,
yeah.
They never did what they did.
I
That
know,
team
man.
would have been. That team
And
would have
B
been
is
loaded.
frustrates me.
But not that year. That year he was balling.
Yeah.
That
Embiid
year he was
frustrates
balling.
me.
Man. They broke that team up. Kawhi just made a great shot. If you think about it, that was That was a great shot that he made. Nobody,
It might be the other way around right now. I don't know who's benefiting more from that team right
What
now.
you mean?
All about Jimmy and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know who's benefiting more.
Oh, Jimmy's benefiting the most.
You think so?
Steph is still doing the same thing. Steph is getting
Drop 38.
Steph is not getting more. He's not getting more open. He's not. Jimmy's just getting the ball now. Like he has somebody else to give the ball to now in like later game and like when they are trying to like take him out. So Houston did this, and honestly, the Clippers were doing a decent job at this. How's it going? And the Clippers were doing a decent job at this.
Picking up something. Yeah.
Oh, you good? You good?
Which one is yours? FNF, he said? Yeah. Oh.
Have a good day.
The Warriors are dangerous. The Warriors are a dangerous team primarily because of this reason. They have two guys that can close the game.
Mm-hmm.
They have two. They have two guys that can definitely legitimately close the game. They're somewhat undersized, but again, the Warriors execute their offense. They've always been a team that can execute offense. I mean, you won't see more teams get more backdoor cuts and get easy buckets than the Warriors. But they play hard. They're well coached, so they're a threat to anybody they play, especially with Butler there now. And like I say, two really good closers. So they are a definite threat. I wouldn't want to play them.
Yeah. I wouldn't either.
No, I wouldn't want to play them. Be honest with you.
I think they play Houston for the series coming up.
Yeah.
Houston, and they the favorites to win. Golden State. So
That's gonna be a good series, I think.
Say Houston, Golden State.
yeah, Houston
gonna be a
goes.
good series.
Yeah,
I mean,
they are a favorite as a 7th seed.
I think it'll be a decent series just because they have the defenders for Steph Curry. Like they have
They got
dude that
athletes,
came from
man.
Toronto.
Oh, they got Van Vliet.
They got Van Fleet on there, and then they got another guard on there that is
He
a good
said
defender.
Dylan Brooks and Draymond Green.
Dylan
is not
Brooks.
gonna survive the whole play.
Yeah,
the
but
whole series.
Dylan
I
Brooks
think
is
that's
over
gonna
there
be-
as well.
no, that's gonna be
Eamon
key.
Thompson's another person who can guard Steph.
But he can run, man. That's the only thing. Those guys.
That's what Chris found out the other
What
day.
bothers me about Golden State is them not playing Kuminga, and he got young legs. You gonna need that versus Houston. Houston, they run.
They young.
They get shots up too.
So do you think the Kaminga thing's like a not buying in thing, or he's not fitting the system thing?
what's going
Because
on?
he's just sitting on the bench
I think
right
it's
now.
business. It's probably business. There's some way, some capacity. I think it's something to do with business. Because there's no way that you just DNP him. Remember, they Kerr DNP Jason Tatum it's business. I think you get that call like, yo, it is business. Because there's no way he shouldn't play.
I hear that.
He should be playing.
I hear that. So I got a theory, right?
The Pistons win.
Love theory.
Definitely not.
That's
That's definitely nowhere near the theory.
I thought that was.
But
man.
I got a theory. I feel like, and again, everybody's trying to downplay this Celtics team, like they're this trash, or like they're not one of the better teams to like match up against all the
I got
time.
a theory for you. Go ahead, speak your theory.
Yep. So I think people are trying to build up to try to beat the Celtics, no matter how bad everybody's trying to make it seem like, or how not good they try to make it seem like the Celtics are, like in terms of like history. You got LeBron and Luka on the same team now, right? And they have a team around them. It's not just like LeBron and Luka and a bunch of bums. They have a team around them.
It's going to be Lakers Cleveland.
The LA Clippers have a squad around them. They have like one of the more well-built teams all around, like up and down their whole lineup. And then Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry.
I don't think none of these players was put together. Maybe the Lakers, maybe those was put together to beat the Celtics. The rest of them, I don't think they was built just to beat the Celtics, to to be honest with you.
But like,
Celtics is not.
so what team in the league before that had any chance of beating the Celtics?
Celtics only won one chip to me. The first and
What
then, and then the
team
East.
in the league before that, before any of those trades, what team in the league had a chance to beat the Celtics? Because it's
Beat
not
the
a team.
Celtics?
It's not a
I
team
would
in
say
the
I
league.
would say Timberwolves.
Yeah, Timberwolves.
And
If
Timberwolves at that point in
Timberwolves
time.
never traded. No, Timberwolves never
If they had
traded.
Gobert in it-
If they never traded Cat,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think
they
so.
really
Bro,
that.
Mike
That was
Conley,
just dumb. That was just dumb trade.
I think that
You
I
said
think,
Mike Conley.
I think a Timberwolves
And I
team-
love Mike Conley. but
Timberwolves would have been a problem.
They didn't even
Timberwolves
utilize.
would've been
No,
a
they
problem.
wouldn't have because they didn't utilize Mike Conley right. They utilized
You
Mike
said
Conley.
what if?
No,
but you can't say they wouldn't have.
No, because they did it while he was there. While Mike
What?
Conley was
They
there,
didn't face the Celtics?
I'm gonna tell you exactly what they used to do. The Timberwolves in there, y'all got something wrong with y'all point guards. Y'all stupid. Y'all did the same thing when Kris was there. Y'all take a point guard who's a facilitator and you guys put him in the corner to be a spot up shooter. Yes, Mike Conley can shoot the ball, but he's not in the corner to be a spot up shooter.
Yeah.
Let him come up the court and let your best player start down on the baseline so he can come up. But no, we want to have everybody bringing the ball up, and then now you're just getting more of a bad shot. It's just like, yo, you got to give your players, your best players, time and like room to work. Kris didn't always bring the ball up. He really didn't, especially in games where people were really trying to guard him. Or for our high school team, he usually didn't bring the ball up. It was either going to be me or Doug bringing the ball up so that Kris can get himself go through a couple screens and get himself into a good position to be able to slice or be able to attack the basket. But
You asked what teams was built to beat that wasn't pre. The last 3 years, this is the only I'm gonna go off.
the Timberwolves had no chance. They didn't even make it out the West.
It's the West.
Again.
It's the West.
So again, if they didn't make it out the West,
You got
and
OKC,
Luka in
you
them
have-
did,
you-
the
it's
team that made it
West.
out was Luka in them,
It's
and they
the
packed
West.
them in.
Yeah, they got clipped.
They did.
It was 4-1.
That was
Hey,
a good-
styles make fight on that one.
Yeah, that was
It was a
that was.
style.
But they, I
It was
don't-
a style.
Yeah, that was a.
It was a style that beat him.
Yeah,
There's
that
no
was a
team
good-
that was ready
a
to beat
good-
the Celtics.
that
Can
was
you
a-
guys think of one?
There wasn't a team
Experience.
That- yeah, we just-
experience the Dallas Mavs, Dallas Wolves series experience. Dominated, and then you go with the Celtics versus Dallas. It's almost the same thing because the Celtics was around when LeBron was on his reign. They had the experience over that team. They dominated. I just think now Minnesota, if you keep that team together, they're coming back. This team with some experience now to show like we can get there.
Nah.
You know what I'm saying?
I
I think they would have been a dangerous team, man.
I think
There
and
no-
I know this one.
But
Heat-
Randall,
I think the Heat would have had a problem. I think the Heat would have gave Celtics a problem if they would have faced
the what?
the Heat.
The Heat.
At the time of
let me ask you
when
this.
Adebayo and
Jimmy.
Jimmy.
Yo,
and
y'all gotta be.
I'm just saying.
kidding
I
me.
think
ask
they
you
would have
this,
given
'cause
him
you
a
said-
What are
problem.
we talking
I
about?
personally
Personally going
think
to
they would have given
Celtics.
him a
I don't
problem.
got the Celtics going anywhere. I don't got the Celtics going.
That's the flaw in this
Yeah,
conversation.
I don't got the Celtics going anywhere.
I don't think
to be
they're as
honest.
great as what
But I do think this.
was
I think
being
this.
seen.
They don't go, and then you're gonna make a couple of trades, and your man Cooper Flag gonna end up in
Make it
Boston.
the Knicks.
He said Cleveland.
Cleveland gonna go. It's gonna be Cleveland
I
Lakers.
do like
LeBron.
Cleveland.
It's gonna be Cleveland Lakers. LeBron get his fairy tale ending. Is over.
I do like Cleveland, but I don't think they'll beat the Celtics.
You think-
I don't see them beating the Celtics. They're playing.
no, but
they are
it's the
playing a
drama.
great. They're
It's
playing
the-
a great brand of basketball, though.
Yeah, I know, but it's the drama. It's the drama. It's the setup. If they win it, you don't trade. You really, it's hard to trade. They lose it, you getting Cooper Flag.
So you think it's
Cooper
so,
Flag's gonna
Celtics
end
are
up in
getting
Boston.
Cooper Flag?
They're gonna trade Jalen Brown
Get that-
for Zingis and your man. Holland. I'm telling you.
Yo, who have you been talking to?
Don't get mad. Don't get mad. Don't get mad. NBA
Happy
draft night.
blockbuster.
They're gonna be like
Yo, you-
trade.
That
Why?
had to be a
Who have you
crazy
been
trade.
talking to?
Listen, think
That'd
about
be
it.
nuts.
Where else? Let me ask you this: Cooper Flag is probably like outside of Adam Morrison. He's like the
Get back to
latest.
Massachusetts, or he from Maine?
He's from Maine. He's
Yeah,
from Maine.
New England.
New Balance.
New England.
Yeah.
New Balance is in Boston. They're gonna make sure that the new Great White Hope stays in Boston, man. I'm telling you.
Bro, there's no.
I'm telling you. What name a
That's
team?
a great
but
theory,
name a
though.
name
I
a
don't know.
team.
That's a crazy
name a
theory.
team right now
Yeah,
that can
first.
protect Cooper Flag like Boston can. There is no team. He'll be out there. Boston's the only team that's going to make him the biggest thing ever. Going to protect him. from
And that
start
would
to
be-
finish.
And that would be good for them.
He could go to Miami.
To be
And
honest,
Jaylen Brown don't want to be there
And
anyway.
it's crazy.
Yeah,
Is it
that's
would be
right.
good.
He
for
don't
the
want to
NBA.
be in Boston anyway. So y'all
No.
lose.
I don't think that Jaylen Brown don't want to be in
he
Boston.
don't like the fan. He don't really like.
I don't think he wants to be in Boston.
First of all, where he gonna go? Atlanta?
I don't think he
What
wants to
the
be
hell?
there. For the person
saying he
that Jaylen Brown is, I'm pretty sure he
Who got the
don't
number
wanna
one
be in
pick? Who
Boston.
got the number one
Yeah,
pick?
I don't think he wants to be in Boston.
Nobody know who got the number one
But
pick.
the
That's
lottery
even.
didn't come
They
out.
don't know yet, right?
Yeah, the
I'm
lottery.
just saying who the
They
last
gotta do lottery
who's the
and
last
stuff,
team
too.
in who's the last team in place right now.
It's not the Pistons.
Nobody knows. He ain't going to that team.
Who you
He
think
ain't
got-
going to Charlotte. Who is it? Charlotte,
Charlotte
maybe?
and Spurs was down bottom at the West. No, it
Was
wasn't
like
Charlotte.
12, I think.
Yeah, it
So
was
somebody
somebody-
He
behind.
ain't going to Charlotte, man. They not having him.
If he go to
around.
San Antonio
Utah, it
though,
might be
San
Utah,
Utah.
if he go to
Oh,
San
yeah,
Antonio,
Oh, nah, Utah would be trash too to go to.
That'd be bad.
Portland, all them teams.
Oh.
They not sending him to none of them teams, man.
if he go to San Antonio though,
If you go to the
that's-
Celtics, that's crazy.
That'd
But
be
ain't
one.
no reason for him. San Antonio got a stud
They,
of a.
they sent Paige to Dallas.
There we go.
Paige, Paige is big. Honestly, I want to see what she does in the WNBA, especially after being hurt for so long.
Have you guys given a shout out to Keith Porter on this show?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, we had all. Yeah,
Keith Porter.
Yeah, they had a little
interview
Keith
and
on.
all that.
They had a
Yeah.
little
Keith Porter
Keith on.
is,
Yeah.
Keith Porter is employed, and I told Keith, I talked to Keith, I said, Keith, don't blow this, man. Don't pull a New London thing. Don't blow this. I said, you're working with one of the most recognizable faces on the planet. A New London guy. Man.
And honestly, from
You
a
had him on
girl's
since he
standpoint,
got that job?
yep,
Oh, okay.
yep, we had him on. He revealed that he was getting the job on this podcast, and then honestly, it triggered something else for us. So a page with like 300,000 subscribers, they ended up like sharing our video, and we started getting more traction
Wow.
from it. So that was a great opportunity from again. Thank you, Keith,
you,
for
Keith.
that opportunity.
Yeah, that was dope.
That was a major play. And he
Shout out
honestly came
Keith,
in
man.
that day and was like, yo, I got some news for y'all. Is it okay if I just say it on air? And we're like, of course. And he's like, all right, but I gotta you guys gotta like let us know, or he had to let us know when we could drop it and stuff, because obviously like they had to like say his departure and everything. But yeah, that was a great episode for us. That episode got us a lot of traction. Honestly, your episode is up and running with Keith's episode.
Yes, is that yeah?
For
Yeah.
literally,
1000%.
that's the
I looked at
episode
both
that
of them,
yours
I'm
is
like,
up
yo,
and running
CJ,
with.
Yeah, your episode is going crazy as far as attraction
So
and everything
yeah,
else.
man, let's
Stop, man.
let's try to keep topping them. Yo. Oh, pause.
I didn't even say, yo, I didn't even say nothing.
Cass, go
Why you
sorry,
looking at me like
I'm
that,
not
Right,
even
right,
gonna
right.
look up.
I didn't
Right,
even
right,
say
right.
nothing.
Not even gonna
I
look
didn't
up.
even say nothing,
All
man.
right, y'all. Let's go. I think we've been here for a little bit, man. We got any advice or
Yeah,
for
Coop
the
showed
kids
up.
today?
Coop showed up 30 minutes late. Yeah, Coach Parker waiting outside. for 40 minutes, man.
My apologies. My
Yo.
apologies.
You got any advice for young men, for young men today?
Stay out of trouble.
Nah, it's fact. It's
Summer
summer's
coming.
coming.
Summer coming, man.
Yeah, we
Stay
was
out
thinking
of
the
trouble.
same thing.
Summer coming. Mr. Trump is talking about opening up a prison in El Salvador. I don't think you want to visit that anytime soon.
Shoot, I hear
Talk to
that.
this man. He already did. Yeah.
Talking about sending people to El Salvador. Did you see the picture of that prison down there? Did you guys see that?
Look,
I
them
didn't.
I thought it
prisons.
looked like a chicken coop.
Them prisons are
It
the
looked like a
worst.
chicken coop.
Yeah.
And I thought when I was first watching, I thought they were just had them posing for a picture. It was multi-level, and they were all sitting there with like T-shirts and I think white
And it
underwear
was all
on.
bent like forward. I
And
think.
they said
They was
that's
what?
how they live right there. I said I
That's
thought
not
they were
okay.
posing for a picture.
Well, they
it
had-
was like
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah, they had one. They showed me like something in South Africa, right? They all cooped up and they got to use a bucket to use the bathroom. Say, nah, man. 50,
no.
60 dudes in one. Come on, man. Nah.
That's not okay.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's not okay.
Yeah, Trump tripping. But
CJ, you got anything
He's a president.
for the young
Yeah.
people, for the young athletes, or for just the young people?
let them know.
For sure. Like we talked about, summer's coming and summer's an opportunity. And I had a conversation with one of the parents of my AU players yesterday about just picture yourself if you stay focused on your craft for the 7 or 8 weeks that summer is. Whether that's whatever that looks like for you, 3 days a week, 5 days a week, You got to get some reps. So I wouldn't say all 7 days a week. But if you're working on your craft for 8 weeks straight, how far can you elevate? And then if it's basketball, you still have about 3 more months. So right now it's April. You have almost 8 months before the season starts. Think about with what the dedication, where you could be in those 8 months. You can come back a dramatically different player. And like your question earlier, state championship teams saw people take those jumps. And the state's going to be up for grabs again next year. There's no team returning outside of Notre Dame, West Haven in Division I that's like going to be a favorite. So whoever is putting in that work this summer, you only get 3 summers before you're off to college once you start high school. And that might sound like a lot, but we're talking about 8 weeks per summer. That's almost nothing. But if you take advantage of that time, you can elevate.
You got time to work, but no time to waste.
It's projecting that image, man. That is projecting the right image. Because I tell people, listen, do the Cassius. This is a hat, but this is sort of like a metaphor for people, right? This hat, I can project 3 different images with this hat, right? I can do this, right?
You look good like that.
Yeah, well, I can do this, right? I can do this. And it's all a different image, right? When people look at you, what they're going to perceive about you, just the way you're wearing your hat, you know? Or I could turn it and I can try to fold this up, whatever the case may be, or I can wear it this way, you know? But it's like, what image do you want to project? I mean, you know, because that's how people are going to judge you. You know, that's how they're ultimately going to judge you. I mean, if I'm walking around like this, people are going to say, what's that 70-something-year-old dude wearing his hat like? Like, what's he doing? Yeah, you know, so.
That's right.
Yeah, I hear that. Oh, man. For myself, young people, if you don't want to do something because you fear what other people are going to say about you, or people are saying some bad things about what you want to do, this is honestly the perfect cast for you. Coach Parker has been talked about throughout his success for a very long time. Told you guys about CJ. He always had somebody saying something because he was Coach Parker's son, so he had a target on his back coming up and was successful through it all. And honestly, I just had something the other day. Now, I've had my own resilience, but like I had something the other day. I had a high school kid come up to me and tell me that he likes the podcast, or just like he supports the podcast. Like no matter what, he just like likes the fact that people are doing something. He just always wants to be encouraging. And he said there's like people that like say bad things about like it or me and stuff. And he just said like he wants to stay positive and for me. And I said, yo, like I appreciate that, bro, but you're always gonna have somebody that has like negative things to say. And for all those comments, for all those negative comments, we get a lot more likes than those negative comments. So I'm gonna keep doing what we do. We get a lot more subscribers on our channels than we do negative comments.
Our shit comments.
Yeah, exactly. So whether it be online or whether it be in person. And most of the time, y'all, people are really usually never going to say that shit to your face. Really. Like they'll say it from the stands to where like they think you can't hear them, or they'll say it online or something. But people aren't usually ever going to really be direct about that shit. So just keep doing what you want to do. Don't let anybody steer you off the path that you want to be on. And if you let somebody shake you off your path just because they got something to say, just know, just like Cassius said before, dog, if somebody's talking about you, that means that nobody's talking about them. Nobody, like literally, they have to have you as that topic of conversation. Cool. But that doesn't think that everybody's a hater. That means sometimes if somebody does say something, take it, you can learn from it and keep it pushing. But also when you are talking to these kids and stuff, as the adults, we got to give them grace. We got to give them grace, know that they're learning and know that they're trying to live a life too. So just want to make sure that we all got a lot to work on, man. Ain't nobody perfect. Perfect. All right, y'all. go through a quick rundown for stocks and crypto real quick with the Ray Nexus right before we get out of here. Stock market's down, crypto's down, tariffs talk, all that. Everybody knows why the stock market and crypto's down. I just want y'all to know that I am still dollar cost averaging the stocks and crypto that I'm in. Again, I'm not doing anything crazy. So I heard when I was watching Tall Guy Tycoon today, his podcast with Robert Croak, they have a crypto podcast, and they were talking about a cryptocurrency that just dropped 90%. And then they explained that you can make your own cryptocurrency in an hour. Literally, like make your own and then get it out to publish. And then when the things that they say they want to do, like they want to bridge the gap to certain things and do these certain things, like, yeah, it sounds good, but you got to make sure that you do your research to where you find out that they actually have the technology to be able to do that. So having companies or having like assets like Bitcoin, Ethereum that people are already invested in, and like Bitcoin's the top of the league, and then Ethereum you have like NFTs built on it, and then Solana NFTs are built on Solana as well. XRP, that's going to be cross-border payments. And then get over to the stock market. Apple, Microsoft, Google, Nvidia, these things that we see all the time, Tesla, freaking Netflix, those things that you guys see all the time, they're at discounts right now. So there's no reason to be looking in all these different places for these extra assets. You still got to do some work. It's better to sit here and try to dollar cost average a great asset than trying to find an asset that's going to just sit there and pop overnight. Life usually doesn't work out like that. So if you want to throw all your money into something like that you think is going to pop overnight, just know that it's a lot more risky than trying to dollar cost average a stock that you know has been doing well. All right. That's going to be the Ray Nexus for the day. Again, thank you, Coach Parker. Thank you, CJ, for coming.
CJ.
One last thing to say.
Thank you,
course.
Coach, and thank you for the lunch.
I have one last thing to say. I wanted to say this earlier because there's some false narrative out there. I just want to make it clear that I was not fired from Lund High School. I did in fact retire. Okay, because there's a false narrative out there that I was put out of the job. I wasn't given any ultimatum or something. I retired. Okay, I voluntarily retired from the position. I was not fired from the position. I just wanted to clear that up.
Shoot. And again, I respect it. Anything hearing from Coach, y'all got a problem, y'all can come see me. I defend Coach any day of the week. I ain't got no problem with it. And again, appreciate you guys for coming. Coach Parker, thank you. And thank you for being you. Thank you for establishing a program. Thank you for never just bending when it comes to your rules and your expectations. And giving people something to be able to follow. Everybody wants to talk about big things. Like if you made it to be an NBA coach, like people would like say like a lot more nice thing, or people would try to be a lot more nice because you'd be able to open up certain doors. But the fact that you've been here and putting in the consistent time into our community and getting things out of our kids and leading by example, you guys don't ever see Coach Parker in trouble. I ain't never see Coach Parker in trouble. So like that again, leading by example is one of the yes. For real. Leading by example is one of the toughest things to do that we are always like that we know is the best form. But again, I just want to applaud you for doing it because everybody says like that's what you should do. But there's a lot of people and a lot of parents who walk by, do as I say and not as I do. So we really appreciate that, Coach. Honestly, you were a figure for our community and in a community where there are not many fathers. So it's really appreciated, and you're a standard. And again, your program's a standard. I can literally talk about you and your accolades and what you've done for this community all day. So I really appreciate you, Coach.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming on today.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, fellas. Appreciate you guys.
All right, y'all. Now, when in doubt, any last words?
No, we good.
Any last words?
Yes.
Shout out Slept On Sports real quick.
Oh, yes, sir.
Slept On Sports. And then
Stop doing sports. Holla.
NLC Hoop Hustlers.
Hoop House.
Make sure you guys tune in to their YouTube for the Slept On Sports, and then the Instagram for the NLC Hoop Hustlers. And make sure you guys sign up. There's always a bunch of programs. All right, yo. Cash and crew about to start holding hands. We got to get up out of here, y'all.
Yo.
When in doubt, y'all, keep it a
Keep it a
buck.
buck, man.
Keep it a buck, y'all.
Yo,
Khalid, thanks a lot.
No,
Peace.
I really appreciate it.
oh, yo, something's wrong with this guy.